Did you hear this? He mentioned it about the Metlife Stadium, which, by the way, is the home of a man potentially almost wrecking and taking it out and ruining WrestleMania. That person being Zito, who drove an RV right into the building and took the entire top off the RV, causing quite a scene with police, security, and an entire situation on WrestleMania Sunday.
It wasn't my fault, though.
But that wasn't your fault. And
yellow shirts.
No, it was your fault. You hit the gas while going into an overpass.
We'll never know what he was going to say.
I was led into that.
Anyways, that's something that you would have to be around for the last couple of years of our show to understand what we're talking about. But MetLife Stadium is now becoming a topic of conversation because their players were saying that the field was tacky, that's why people were getting hurt out there. The Steelers and the Giants opened up on Monday Night Football there a week before that. I didn't hear the Steelers complain about anything or the Giants complain about anything. I don't think this is something that players would just make up, though. Like, I don't think players are going to be like, hey, that field was tacky for no reason. I think there is a legitimate concern, obviously, by the NFL and the NFLPA. They're going to check it out. But it doesn't make sense to me that they already had a game there, unless they're just changing the entire field when the Jets play and the Giants play, which then I guess is a whole new conversation.
Well, it's new field turf, I think. It's somewhat new. So, yeah. But players know the second they walk out for warm-ups, I think if the turf is weird, that's one of the first things you want to get a feel for, especially on field turf. Oh, is it like a newer spongy type of field turf with a lot of the black rubber isn't worn down and into the fiber as much as, say, an older one that isn't as tacky. When you hear players say it feels tacky, that's what I think is scary. I mean, field turf already, when you're wearing cleats, if your foot is in the ground, like, your foot will twist, but your cleats aren't going to chunk up that grass. That's what you need so you don't tear Achilles, you don't tear your ACL. So I think when you wear cleats and it's not very good field turf, I think it's absolutely dangerous. The players wouldn't just make it up out of nowhere. Now, some guys, I'm sure, have stronger reactions than others do. Like, oh, man, I don't know. I don't really see like seams in here. Like, I know Houston, they said that about back in the day. People were worried because Houston had big seams that you could actually see. Now, they seem to have figured that out, haven't they?
The kicker's name was Brett something. He was a kickoff specialist for the Texans, and he was jogging down the field in Houston, and his knee just got torn on one of the seams. And I believe he had a lawsuit against it, and they had to change the entire field. But there's a couple fields that people talk about that aren't great. You know, like some places spray paint the dirt to make it look like it's green on camera, a la Heinz Field before their last entire thing. Chicago does that. But the people are like, well, it got checked off. It's compliant in this. Everybody has investigated it. And I think the narrative is like, oh, they were lying about that. I just don't think that's something that players would lie about. I don't know why they would make that up. But I guess TBD, we'll find out as time rolls on. What's up,
I'm
Tony?
sure there's stats that there's probably less knee injuries and stuff on grass. Is it surprised that the NFLPA hasn't tried to get like every field as a grass field?
Yeah, I mean, there was an initiative there for a while where guys were trying to fight for grass only, but then you got to bank on good field groundskeepers and all that. And some grass fields are worse than anything, but the turf, there is like documented stats, like turf is harder for your knees, your ankles, and there's more injuries. But when you come to just having a consistent playing field, the turf is there. I always said, hey, let's make every single place a dome. Hey, let's make every place a dome, okay? And by the way, maybe because of my position, but if we're all playing on the same field, it's fair. We have enough money to do it. Let's go ahead and just play it a dome. No games will potentially get postponed or canceled. There's no football getting ruined because of just a blizzard happening out there. Well, they're both playing on the same field. I agree. Hey, I'm on your side. But if they're all playing on the same exact field every single day, then we have a real tell on what it is. But then people are like, well, that's kind of the charm is like, you know, everybody's different and everything like that. It's like, well, when people get hurt and they're pissed off about the fucking field, I mean, then you got to answer that question yourself.
Do the spikes or the cleats matter at all, or is this just all on more of the grass?
I think so.
Yeah,
You shouldn't be wearing. Hopefully, people aren't wearing screw-ins out there on field turf. You don't need to do that. I think field turf was invented to not wear cleats, to wear the little nubs. Remember the old school like nub soccer cleats?
Yeah,
that's what you really should be wearing. A lot of quarterbacks will wear that on field turf. Guys that maybe not have to run and cut as much. But yeah, when you get your cleats stuck in that field turf, I've watched dudes ACLs blow because their foot wouldn't come out of the ground, things like that. It's nasty, man. There's no way that we're going to see more teams going to field turf than grass, because grass, you got to have the way more, like the grounds crew is 24 hours a day trying to figure it out, especially as the season gets later on, that you have worse weather, especially if you're not down south. And when you have field turf, think about it. Why do all these high schools have field turf? Because you can have 7,000 events each year on this field and charge money and have these huge things. and there's really not a whole lot of maintenance. Just clean it up, brush it, run the little machine that brushes all the garbage and dip spit down into the field turf. So when guys are laying there, it gets stuck on their cheek. Like, that's all you got to do.
And yeah, I love whenever they tell you to bear crawl on a field that is turf, and you've seen numerous people puke, spit, and sweat all over it. Get your hands down in the dirt. It's like, oh, do I have to? I mean, I think this is exactly where old coach. And I saw Tom puke yesterday. Yep, get in there. You got to do what you got to do. My favorite, University of Phoenix Stadium in Arizona, it's a grass field, and that son of a bitch just walks outside to get sun and then comes back inside. I think Las Vegas is doing the same thing. That is the model. By the way, domes, both of those domes, grass field, they get it on rollers, walks outside for a few hours, gets some sun, comes back inside, gets watered. Those fields are gorgeous.